The model is not the product anymore. The harness is. GPT and Claude are just brains in jars until something gives them tools, memory, files, and permission to ruin your afternoon. A harness is the digital body around an AI model. The model predicts text. The harness turns that text into actions. It exposes tools, stores context, runs commands, edits files, and reports what happened. Basically, it is the nervous system for a very confident intern. Without a harness, an AI writes a beautiful paragraph about fixing your bug. With a harness, it opens the repo, reads the failing test, edits the root, runs the suite, and then invents one extra change because apparently peace was never an option. That is why the AI development space in 2026 has moved past copy and paste chatbots. The fight is now about agentic coding harnesses. The two names that matter most are OpenAI's Codex and Anthropic's Claude Code. Subtle branding, as always. Claude Code became the first harness that felt truly CLI-native. It lives in the terminal. It sees your local file system. It hooks into your dev server. It inherits the weird environment variables you set in 2023 and now refuse to document. That local feel matters. Browser tools make your project feel like a museum exhibit behind glass. Claude Code sits at the keyboard with you, cozy, powerful, and one mistaken instruction away from refactoring the folder named Final v2. Codex takes the other path. It grows into a cloud sandboxed coding environment tied tightly to OpenAI's ecosystem. You hand it a task, it spins up an isolated workspace, it queues work, it can grind on long jobs while you pretend to check Slack for professional reasons. Together, Codex and Claude Code define the current shape of automated software engineering. That sounds majestic. It also means their bugs become everyone's bugs, which is how progress usually introduces itself before touching production. Codex's first quirk is navigation. You specify one folder. Codex immediately investigates every other folder with the energy of a robot vacuum cleaning the ceiling while the floor is on fire. Then Codex finds the right file and forgets how files work. It curls a local path. It greps for a string nobody wrote. It writes Python to parse a normal text file. Somewhere, the read file tool sits untouched, like a gym membership. The funny part is that the correct move is boring. Read the file, patch the file, run the test. The harness that reliably chooses boring tools usually beats the harness that writes a tiny opera around cat. Here is the one test that actually predicts whether a harness will make you faster. Open the trace. Count failed tool calls before the first useful edit. If the agent burns 10 actions discovering the repo you already named, that is not reasoning. That is billable wandering. Claude Code has the opposite problem. It feels native. It runs smoothly. It is not cheap. The headline feature is a massive 1 million token context window, which is incredible until it becomes a 1 million token invoice with syntax highlighting. Codex users complain about speed. Claude Code users complain about thermodynamics because money appears to convert directly into context. A quick express.js refactor becomes a sponsored expedition through your entire monorepo. The failure mode is brutal because it arrives after the tool feels magical. You refactor one root. Claude reads half the code base. It writes tests. It reasons hard. Then the session hits the wall faster than you can type git commit. You do not just need an API key for that workflow. You need a venture capital backer, a prayer, and maybe a small altar made of expired cloud credits. The reason people still pay is capability. Claude Code can coordinate sub-agents in parallel Git work trees. One agent handles the API. One handles tests. One reviews the diff. It is a tiny engineering team, minus the stand-up, which already makes it 40% healthier. The red team loop is the other advantage. Claude Code does not only write the feature, it writes tests, attacks its own assumptions, finds the ugly edge case, and patches the hole before you see the final diff. Annoyingly useful, rude, honestly. The 2026 verdict is uncomfortable. Codex is cheaper to tolerate and better for long, isolated cloud tasks. It can grind for hours without touching your machine. Claude Code costs more, burns faster, and still wins overall when the job depends on local context, parallel work, and adversarial testing. The model is the brain in the jar, the harness is the body, the leash, and occasionally the invoice. NextToken.